as you're trying to develop your career, if you haven't realised already, it's going to be expensive. It's going to take a lot of money. Any brand, any business to get off the ground, it requires money. For the people who are lucky, who have someone come along with deep pockets, they normally come along with very tight contracts that you have to sign as well. So GoFundMe, I'd categorise that as kind of like a donations site. There's lots of places you can go to get people to give to charities or to personal projects, where effectively you're asking people to make a donation. And for some music projects that can work, because you just think, well, I want to put on this event, it's for a good cause, people will just give money to it. The differentiation there with crowdfunding is that you're offering people something in return. So with crowdfunding, the idea is you might want to do an album and you don't have the money because you're an impoverished musician, and you're wanting to make your album. People will want to buy it, but you don't have the funds to pay the producer in the studio up front. You're going to have to sell those albums, or you're going to have to go out and gig and generate money on the back end. So you have a cash flow problem. So you can do pre-orders and things like that, but you are selling a product to people. Most crowdfunding sites enable you to do donations as well, but ultimately fans are probably more likely to give you money if they get something in return. This is just traditional kind of consumer relationship that they have with the brand. So just a bit of a whistle-stop tour. So Kickstarter, as someone's already mentioned, that's kind of a world-leading platform for crowdfunding. Loads of stuff happens on Kickstarter. It's not just music. People fund films, people fund video games, people do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. I've used Kickstarter myself successfully on many times with artists. It's a really good platform. Pledge Music is, as the name gives away, it's a music platform. You see a lot of independent artists and independent labels raising money for album projects through Pledge. So people sell merchandise and people sell experiences. The thing that you have to get your head around in 2018, selling music isn't where you're going to make your money. It's probably not. You're going to make more money, most probably, through merchandise, and then actually you're going to make more money still through experiences. The records effectively are a marketing tool so that artists can go and tour, because you have all the content in the world at your fingertips. I've got Apple Music on my phone, I can listen to every song in the world, but people will pay more and more for experiences. To go and see Coldplay, people will pay £200 or more, or they'll go on Seatwave or some of the secondary ticketing site, and they'll pay even more than that, because you can't bottle that experience. Anyone can have merch. You don't have to be like already established to have merch. I mean, it's kind of chicken and egg. If you turn up to a gig and you have lots of merch on sale, people think, wow, you have your own shop, you must be famous. And people are only famous because people think they're famous. There's no kind of qualifying level you have to aspire to. And the thing with crowdfunding is it's all about the crowd. You have to focus on producing stuff that people will want to buy, that people will want to own. Because if you just go and get 1,000 mugs with your face on it, you're not going to sell them. Another thing that can happen when you go on a crowdfunding platform is you attract people who are already on that platform to support you as well. The interesting thing that I found from running a crowdfunding site is we have loads of enthusiastic supporters who just love supporting independent artists. But in order to get their attention, your pitch has to be really good. When you do a video explaining a crowdfunder, it's got to be really engaging. It needs a really good title, because if it does pop up on the homepage of the crowdfunding site or on the search site, it needs to stand out. The photo that you have needs to stand out. It all needs to come together so that users of the site would see your campaign and think, wow, I'd love to support this. So,
how long does a campaign generally last?
So the way we do things with Rocket Fuel is we basically, as I said, have the online store, and then you kind of switch on a goal. So then effectively you're then moving from just having your store with products available and experiences and merchandise, and then you're basically then saying, no, I'm raising money for this. So there is a kind of a deadline. You can run a campaign what we call a goal for up to 3 months. Statistics kind of show, so I'm using some evidence from Kickstarter, they say the best campaigns, most effective campaigns are 27 days long. So that's kind of from their extensive kind of research on what makes a crowdfunding campaign work. So a month is quite good actually, because when you announce it, people think, oh, right, I should get on with it because there's only a few weeks left. Whereas when it's a longer goal, people think, oh, it's interesting, I'll come back later on. And it's really good if you can get people to support you on day one, because then you don't have to kind of continually ask people. You can just kind of say, please support me, and then celebrate the fact everyone supported you much sooner and everything. So one of the things that I recommend, as you're asking about timeframes, is when you do a crowdfunding campaign, put loads of energy, as much energy as you can, into the pre-launch. So effectively, just like if you're trying to get a single to chart, you don't just announce it and say, my single's out today, please buy it. What you do is you spend weeks like saying, here's the video, here's a teaser of the video, here's a little sample of the track, I'm going on the radio 2 weeks before it gets launched. And then on the day of the release, you want to get that to spike, you want to get loads of people to buy it so it ends up in the iTunes chart, or it ends up trending on a streaming platform, so it gets attention. So it's the same with crowdfunding. Don't just kind of say, ta-da, here it is, you didn't know anything about it. You want to kind of speak to people, and one of the things we recommend is go to the people kind of nearest and dearest, your kind of core fan base, or even friends and family, and involve them in the process of thinking about what products to create, what things to share, and then effectively you're building a team, and that team are going to be really invested, and that team will want to support you without you having to kind of beg them to do it. They'll want to do it because they're involved.
I would say in a nutshell, branding's about image. Okay, so it's all about image, it's your persona. It's about how people recognise who you are and how people want to be associated with what you're all about. If you don't get the branding right, it can be a bit of a nightmare. So, because people like to be associated with brands. It's also first impressions. If you're a struggling artist, if you're an artist trying to get your name out there, you've got to make sure that you stand out from the crowd. And unfortunately, without a decent brand or a unique sort of take on why your music's different, once again, you're going to get swallowed up by everybody out there that's trying to do the same thing as you are. So everything from logos to the way that you come across, to the way that you come across professionally on websites, the material that you put out there, everything is a strategy to basically promote who you are, and that's why branding is important.
It's kind of being manufactured. The record companies are trying to put out there, and stories are out there that their artist is very political, our artist is very sexy, our artist is very aggressive.
And I think that's, once again, why it's so important to build a brand and a following persona, because once again it opens the doors for why people would want to particularly use your brand. So once again, like your Madonnas or like your U2s or whatever, how they're associated with certain movements or political movements, or people might particularly want to use them to once again improve their own brand that's not even intrinsically related to music, just because once again they're backing on the fact that they've built up a persona and they're in particular following from the brand, or from their brand themselves. So it's like I said, brand's a very powerful thing, but everybody wants to be involved with a decent brand because of what it means for them. But everybody who's making music these days has become easier to make music than it ever has become, just due to the fact that technology means that you can have a studio set up at home now, a laptop. So you've got to understand when you're creating your brand, what makes you different, what are you actually providing, should I say, the fan base that you want to sort of create with, that's any different than anybody else, otherwise you just won't be heard. So this could be, once again, merchandise, this could be a fantastic logo, this could be the way that you actually promote yourselves with a succession of videos on YouTube, or the way that you're managing your social media accounts. There's many different angles that you can take. I think it's just what you've got to really think about is how you're going to go about it slightly differently. And the great thing is that with the internet today, there's so much out there that you can tap into by looking at who has already been. Work with so many brands that try and overcomplicate their logo because something means something to everybody else. And I would basically say, once again, you can do a lot of research, but if you look at the biggest brands from Adidas, Nike, Apple, 2 colours at most, very, very simple, and it just gets that image across. It's all about simplicity. So if you're going to create a logo, don't be bombarded with lots of colours and thinking that more is better. Simple's better. And the other reason why it's also very important is because when you finally do get garments made up or merchandise made up, it's going to be a lot easier to print. You're not going to be spending a fortune.
Yeah.
It's all been about thought out. So simpler is better. Simpler is better.
And it's important, isn't it, for artists to realise that brands have a fan base in exactly the same way that an artist has a fan base now, and there's not really a distinction. Because I've seen people get so passionate about Apple, because I've got an Apple here, but people are, it's much better than PC, and all this, and they're supporting it like they would a football team. And it's, you know, it's the same for things like Fred Perry. You know, like I say, if you're into Fred Perry, you could be into a certain style of music as well. It's understanding that people want to display that on their t-shirts, their clothes, to say this is my lifestyle.
Truly, because obviously I work more on the commercial side of things, it would be as basic as doing workshops or questionnaires, believe it or not. There's no reason why you guys can't do the same. Is ask first your family, your friends, what they like about your music, what they feel is unique about your music. You know, ask them those questions just so once again you get an understanding of how you're perceived by them, because it's all about, once again, how you're perceived. You actually might be quite shocked to, you know, the answers that you actually get, how you perceive yourself. Then when you ask sort of family members or friends, you know, what do you think of my music? You know, how does that resonate with you? You know, how does that come across? What they might come back and actually be honest about and actually give you a response to. And so once again, it helps you tailor, once again, how you know, obviously come across, and then from that point of perspective, try and you know, encapsulate, you know, similar sort of people really. And I think it's absolutely right. You might have heard the phrase "fake it till you make it." There's nothing stopping you from pretending that you're that person now, doing everything that you need to do, being that entrepreneur, being that business person, setting up all your social media accounts, learning how that works, doing your research. And like I said, I know this is a background. It feels like a lot to do when you're trying to be an artist. But like I said, artists these days do not predominantly make money just on music alone. In fact, that's probably only makes about 20 or 30% of what they do. They now become brands, you know, from your Jay-Z's to your Carl Coxes. You know, they sell brands, they sell concerts because of who they are as a brand and what they come across as, not as an individual.
Where does a website fit for an artist? Because again, you know, in terms of social market, I mean, I could probably answer it, but probably better coming from you. Where do you feel the importance of a website for an artist is?
It's a tricky question, because I would have probably said 5 years ago very important. Now, maybe not so much, but it's still relative to keeping your portfolio and your profile live online. Mainly because there's so many platforms out there allow you to do it now without having to build a website or whatever the case may be, from social media to Instagram, which, you know, more people are interested in using apps to get the information that they want these days. I would have said that, you know, a website isn't as important as it should be. However, once again, if it's to do with branding, and I can't stress this enough because people still do not do this, is that once again, if you're looking at, you know, even having a small website or holding page to say this is you, and you land on your landing page, it's got a photo of you and your music, maybe, you know, a stream from SoundCloud or whatever it is on there, just to build your own little CV up. So when you're handing out your cards, you know, once again, it shows the professionalism that you're willing to go to say, I'm building up my own brand. I would say also definitely buy a domain that makes sense. So many people these days, because obviously you've got Gmails and everything like that, are still happy to use these. Once again, you're not looking at your brand. You know, you really need to, let's say, if you're a particular artist, see if you can buy your own domain name, and then when you're sending out emails to people, you know, once again, it's from you. You purchased, you've invested in yourself, and I think that's the most important thing about brands, is investing in yourself. Because if someone can say that you're investing in yourself, it means that you're serious about what you do. It means that it doesn't matter what age you are, you're taking this seriously. And because of that, you'll attract like-minded professionals, brands, because they understand that you're a good investment to make.
So thousands and thousands of people on our platform have been able to connect with other like-minded writers, musicians, producers. And because, so obviously, look, you guys, I'm assuming predominantly are from this local area in Southampton. The vast majority of people on Music Gateway, when they do connect with people, it's from people in LA, New York, Paris, Australia. And because they are we've given them remote working tools to help you share your files online, and you can work online. So actually making the connection online and has led to people releasing music abroad and internationally. So collaboration and co-writing is really where Music Gateway started out. In the UK, in Germany and France, there's what's called a blanket license. People were talking about PRS for music and MCPS. All the broadcasters can take any commercial record, any commercial music, and use it within their programming on TV and film. They can't do that for advertising, and they can't do that for promos of a TV program. But so if that happens, someone has to approach you and say, hey, we want a license and pay a fee to you to use your music and legally clear it. But if, for example, Top Gear, for example, can literally use a Coldplay track, AC/DC, etc., etc. And the idea of a blanket license is that everyone gets paid a set fee, that kind of a rate card, if you like, that's set by the Performing Rights Society in each territory. It's about having awesome songs and having well-produced music, that goes without saying, but obviously because there is so much good music out there, how are you going to get your music heard by the right people that are going to, the decision makers really, that are going to be able to consider your music for a given project? So that's your kind of challenge if you're interested in getting your music licensed. Now, there is a possibility that someone somewhere comes across your music on YouTube, on Spotify, and says, hey, this is absolutely amazing, I love it, it's perfect for my scene in my particular film. And they might then want to get in contact with you and knock on your door and say, hey, look, blah, blah, blah. If you're lucky enough for that to happen, then get some advice, you know, ideally from a lawyer or a solicitor, a music-based lawyer and stuff like that. Especially if they're going to say, look, we want to license this, and you know, how much can I, you know, license it for? The fact is that it's obviously very competitive to get your music licensed into these games or films, etc. And it's all about knowing the right people or working with the right people. So obviously, so you've got, you know, if you're going to do any kind of like approaches to supervisors, or you're going to actually pitch to people, it's so important that you do your research. And you'll see up on here that there's a kind of a little bit of a tag here, and we've got, you know, smart people use the right tools. This is the other, and I can segue back into sync in a tick. But what we've actually done is we've done two things. We provide indie artists, labels, publishers, etc. We basically built tech tools for people to do it themselves. So we've got our very own Dropbox style file storage system, so you can actually store all of your music online. And when, for example, you upload high-res audio like WAV files and your master files, our system automatically creates MP3s for you. And then you can actually edit all of the metadata online. You should not be sending MP3s via email. It's one of the most common things. If you go to any conference panel and hear any A&R guy or manager, they will just literally, the vast majority of them will delete the email. It really infuriates them. So the idea is, the best thing to do is to send them a streamable link, a one-click link, do it in a first person. You know, the amount of people that send off music and just like send a YouTube link and don't even say hello, like, you know, it's just amazing, and they think that they're going to get, you know, it's good enough to kind of, so just make a nice friendly approach to someone. And again, within your account on Music Gateway, we've got a playlist pitching tool. So again, for presenting your music outside of the site, we've got a tool to help you do that. So not only can you store all of your music, you can add in all the data that you need and your contact information. You can then create these playlists. So obviously you can create playlists on SoundCloud. The problem you've got with that is you send someone a link, if they're not a registered user on SoundCloud and they click it on their mobile phone, it will prompt them to sign up. Literally, our baby account is like £10 a year. So hopefully that won't break the bank. If you're a pint drinker, it's about 2.25 pints. No, so it's £10 a year, and we have a kind of a £10 a month, or £20 a month. If you pan down a little bit on the site, basically you get everything within your account. So you get the playlist, the file storage, access to the sync portal, which is our agency. You can post and create projects yourself. So that's the other thing. You know, if you want to connect, if you're interested in working with another songwriter, you can post a project and say, hey, I'm a singer-songwriter, I'm based in the UK, and you know, check out my profile. I'm looking to work with a fantastic hip-hop artist. These are the type of people that I'm interested in looking at. And then those people can review your advert, if you like, your project, and then you can receive pitches from people that like you, like the sound of you, like your songs.